what you're gonna do, this may be controversial, but I do not claim to be a pro seamstress. I do not claim to do quilting as quilters, or maybe most in the quilting community would call quilting. I just kind of found my niche in making these. So first you're going to find your fabric. So right now I have several different types of fabrics that I've picked out so far that I'm going to be using, incorporating into making my bows. And so these are the July 4th. So you want to pick out fabrics. I would say 100% cotton would be your best bet to making these. And I use the fat quarters, 18 by 21 inches per side. So the top of the bow, so let me get one of these bows that were made. So basically the top of these bows is front and back, right? So in order to create the top of the bow, you need at least 18 by 21 twice. And so you're gonna iron your fabrics first. Sorry for flipping the camera around. I'm kind of using my hands and just in my RV, my camper. So once you get your material of choice ironed and pressed and sewn together to create the top of your bow, that's what you're going to work on first, and then we'll work on the tails. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be back shortly. Okay, so iron your material, and you need at least 1 yard of material to make one bow, which is equivalent to around approximately 13 to 15 inches by 20 to 23 inches long. So the bow part will be about 13 to 15, and I find that that size is a good size because it kind of catches you in between a medium and an extra large bow, especially with bigger door fronts and doors that you might be hanging on front, or even if it's a bigger wreath, it would still complement whatever you're trying to do with your door. So these I think would work perfect for that. Anything oversized or whatever, you obviously need more material for. So typically, if you do it right, you should be able to make one of our bows with 1 yard of fabric. So if you're wanting to do multiple patterns or fabrics together or colors, just make sure you have enough of fabric. So I'll see you in just a few minutes after you've ironed out your material, and then we'll catch up. I'll be back. Okay, welcome back. Our fabric is ironed, and right now we're working on the tails of the bows, and this is a fabric that I chose for one of my bows. I'm not sure how it's all going to come together because we're doing kind of a patchwork where I have different types of patterns that were going to be the tops of our bows, and then I have different fabrics that are going to be the tails of our bows. And so right now I've got this pressed and ready to take to the sewing machine. I will say this, most quilters would cringe if I didn't say this, but use what interfacing you want to use to stabilize the material when you get ready to quilt. I'm going to tell you this, like I told you earlier, I am not a quilter as I guess the quilting community would probably consider a quilter. I just kind of see something and I imagine it in my brain, and then I just kind of go with it. I do not have a standard sewing pattern that I go by, but this is what I've come up with and it works for me. And so right now I'm taking these two 18 by 20, which is a front and a back, and I'm going to sew along this the length, the 21 inches long. So I'm going to make it become longer than 21 inches, if that makes sense. So right now we're going to sew that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so you're probably asking, why did I sew the two together? Was because I'm making multiple bows and I'm making multiple tails. So to kind of speed up the process of making the tails, I'm adding on the material of the same to make it one long length so I can maximize the most out of each tail that I create. And so also, when I was mentioning earlier about putting the interfacing of your choice to quilt, when you take it back to the machine and do your quilting top on the material, I personally on these particular bows don't use an interface. I just run it through my machine. I do a straight stitch, and you can do a quarter seam allowance if you want. I am like I told you, it's kind of like being a chef in a kitchen, and you're cooking with your heart. I'm sewing with my heart. A dab of this and a little dab of that, and you'll be good and you'll be happy with what you have. So with that being said, that's kind of what I'm doing with these, and they're turning out super fun and super cute every time. So basically I've done the 2-inch squares to create a diamond shape on one of them that I had done, and I liked it, but I find that the straight line quilting topping going straight, or quilt, let me slow down, quilting the top of my fabric, just a straight stitch line with the straight line stitch, is like the funnest. It also moves pretty quickly through it. So once you have established that and you're done, then you're basically let me see if I can set this down. I don't have my phone stand up. So basically this is now longer than 21 inches, right? So it's basically, let me move this out of the way because I was ironing. So we have 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So basically a yard to make the tail, and you're going to need a yard to make the top of your bow. So you actually need 2 yards to make a bow. You probably get away with a 1.5 yards, but anyway, just make sure you pick up at least 2 yards of material no matter what. There's nothing worse going in shopping and have to go out and run and get more material. So once you've pressed this, then you're going to determine what quilt design or quilting design you want to do. So we'll just do straight lines, and I start off 3 inches, and then I go, after I've done 3 inches across, and do a straight line, a straight stitch for my quilting. Then I go back in between each 3 inches, and I'll split it in half and do another one. So basically they become an inch apart when it's all said and done. And by doing it in thirds and then going back and adding the halves, it just helps me keep the line straight so that when I'm connecting, I'm done. So basically this is one long strip, right? So let's say you were just using just the 18 by 21 to create your front and your back. So basically I would fold this in half to do the top, and this would become my bow top. See, so when I scrunch it like this, it's going to be the bow. So to get the fullness to keep it around, I would do the length so that my seam right here that's joined together is in the back. Then I would sew this one side, sew this one side, sew down to here till I leave me an opening, and then that's when you're gonna go get your polyfill. And when I say lightly fill the bow top and the tails, I mean literally it will go a long ways, because you don't want it to be overstuffed to it's too stiff, but you want that flexibility, kind of like, well, hold on a second. Kind of how these are, they've got some movement to them, and the tails are still kind of floppy, but not too floppy, but yet they still have some structure and give to them, and so that way you can move them around. So this is the front, and then I'll show you how we did this, and then added the center, okay, because you're gonna need to cut you out a band to go around. So this is one long piece, and then this is another piece, but it'll create like a tube. So once you've done that, then and you filled it, and you're happy with the insert of your filling, then you're going to take the 2 backs and you're going to join them together. Of course, this would be at this point, this would be turned inside outwards so that the material is facing right, because you're fixing to create the bow. Then you would sew your seam here. Then the two seams that are here and now here would become, me get this straightened out, because I know I'm kind of going fast and kind of giving you an idea. But now they come together, so seam and seam. So you'll have a seam here and a seam here. So you're gonna gather that like that, and you'll be tucked and be poofy here and poofy here. And the two seams that you created to join it together won't even be seen, because now you're gonna take that and tie that as super tight in the middle, like we've done here, to create this bow and to have that look. So I can still stick my hand all the way through, and you can see in the material it's double-sided, you can see it and all that, but then you still put your hand through it, and then you add the tail, and then you tie it, and then you put the band on and sew it, and then voila. But I'll walk you through it, but I just kind of giving you kind of a run through of kind of what I'm doing, just kind of have a sense of it. But just hang tight with me and we'll walk through this together. So we've ironed, and now we've joined this material together because we're going to create tails, and that's what I'm working on right now with the fabrics that I'm playing with. And then we'll kind of walk through it together, and hopefully you guys can make some bows too. So hang tight, we'll be right back.